All right, so let's talk about soloing here for a while. You know, sometimes when we are approaching soloing, it is like, when we try to solo, it sounds like, a part of a scale here or, an awkward arpeggio there and maybe a bend. And then we eventually end up, no matter what we're trying to solo over, we eventually end up back with the same pentatonic scale that we learned in high school. And it's usually this one. And we usually end up on that. No matter what song we're doing, no matter what the chords are, we usually end up on our old friend, our comfortable old friend, the minor pentatonic scale, and we go, gosh, I don't know why all my solos sound the same. So if that's you, then you're the one that I'm going to be talking to tonight. Now, if you're soloing and you're soloing great, go watch TV or something. You're not the person I'm talking to, but the person I'm talking to is someone who's kind of frustrated. They know the scales, they know the arpeggios, they know the theory, but they just can't seem to put it together when it comes time to solo. Hey, solo! And they don't know what to do. They'll play a little bit of a scale, but it sounds wrong, and so they just don't know how to make that mental jump from all of these things that I know to something melodic and something creative. Okay, so we're not going to talk too much about the tools. I've given you a lot of tools, scales and approaching things by tonalities and arpeggios and things like that. So we've done a lot of that. I've got tons of resources on that. What I'm going to talk about is that trickier thing of exploring the creativity inside of you, okay? So there's kind of two different approaches as I've been kind of mulling this over the last few days, trying to think of how to summarize this. Okay, we're going to talk about a very elusive thing, creativity, and unlocking some of the creativity for you. And I hope that over the next couple of minutes, this will expand your mind a little bit of what can be done on the instrument. Hey, this is a guitar, and we talk often about guitar playing, that we play on guitar. We play, it's not just work, it's play, it's fun. Now, there's two different approaches that we kind of have to marry together when we're soloing. I like to think of them like this. There's the Lego approach. Okay, remember with Legos, I want you to tap into your inner 6-year-old. You ready? There's the Lego approach to things where you've got all your Legos, and I see the thing that I want to build, and it comes with the little instructions, and I read those instructions, and it doesn't matter how complex the instructions are. I know our youngest son would love to do Lego stuff, and the bigger the better. The thicker the instruction book, the better. I didn't care if it was 500 instructions. He would sit there for days, and eventually, when it was all done, he'd have the Eiffel Tower built or something like that. Okay, all of those creative blocks are all around you. You just needed the roadblock, the map, the thing to do, the list, the rules, okay? And you follow that. That's kind of the Lego approach to things. We have our scales, and we put our scales over this chord, and we put our arpeggio over that chord, and we can do some tricks there, and it's all the mental things, okay? All right. There's another side to it, okay? That's just as valid. And that's more, I think, of like playing with Play-Doh. Okay, so again, think back to your inner elementary school kid. Okay, now when it was Play-Doh, they dumped out all those colors in front of you. They had all those little jars, and they dumped out all those colors in front of you. Maybe you had a couple things to mess with, a couple of tools, but basically, there it was. You could create whatever you wanted to create. And so you just sat there and you thought, well, I could do this, and I could maybe do that, and so you were drawing more upon not somebody else's vision, not somebody else's building that you were building for your Legos, but you were just kind of drawing on your own creativity, It's that part of you that, in a lazy summer afternoon would whip out the Play-Doh and you had nothing but time and a bunch of different colors, and you could just make whatever you wanted to make. And so you just sat there and you played with some different things. You tried a few things, and some things worked and some things didn't. And then you may start to try to build something, and then you got off building something else because an idea led you upon a different idea. So ideas were building on ideas. Okay, that's another side of soloing. That's not rules and scales and you got to hit the fifth and you got to hit the third and there's so much, oh my goodness, I can't keep up with all the head knowledge I have to do. There's another part of it that's just playing, that's just trying to create something. Okay, so that's what I want you to think about when you're doing soloing. After some people approach soloing and they like the rules. They need the rules. They love the rules. Give me the rule book and I'll know what to do. Other people, you kind of need to break off the rules and just say, I'm just going to experiment for a while. I'm just going to play some notes and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then I'll change it to something else. Okay? And you'll hear people say, oh, well, what you need to do is you just need to play by ear. But then I have people who are very sincere. They go, when you put on the track and you say play by ear, my ear is not telling me anything to play. So you have to, they just sit there. They're like a kid with a bunch of Legos around them and no instructions, and they don't know what to do. Okay? It's that boredom. It's that creativity. Well, let me just see if I could put these two thoughts together. Let me see if I could just put these two notes together. Let me see if I could try this and see if that works and lead me to something. Okay, you need to get in that headspace sometimes rather than all the rules and things. So we're going to talk about that for a second tonight. We're going to get that, let's get that E minor track going, ready. We're going to put on a track here, and this is going to be in the key of E minor. These are from our great friends over at Coffee Break Grooves. This is their Smooth Jazz 9 project, okay? And this is right off of that. And the great folks over there, go ahead and go over there, buy that. That's a great project. Smooth Jazz 9 is what this is from. And they have like 12 different tracks, and they're all 15 minutes long. I love them. And this one is as simple as you can get. It's E minor. Now, it goes through couple different chord changes, but basically it's the tonality of E minor the whole time. All right, so here's some things that you can try. E minor, well, that's the key of G major, so you need to know some of the ground rules. So I can use the G major scale. Uh-oh, Steve, you're back talking about scales again, so we're going to go do, re, mi, fa, sol. No. Don't think of it that way. A scale is like a box of crayons. Scale is like a box of crayons. You've got so many colors. In this point, 8 colors in your crayon box. That's all a scale is. The point is not always going from one to the next. It's using this box of crayons box of colors, 8 notes, to create something that works. So we're going to turn on this track, and I can use anything in the key of G, which is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And go ahead and let it run. Okay, so here's the track. Now, it's 15 minutes long, so first of all, don't panic about, oh my goodness, the song is not right, and I can't keep up with the changes or anything like that. We're not worried about changes. He's going through some different chord changes. I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to think in E minor, okay? There's an E, okay? Now, to force myself out of thinking like a scale, I'm just going to try and think of a rhythm, just with one note. I'm giving you tools for breaking open your creativity. Here's one of them. Just limit yourself. Don't play everything. Just play one or two notes and play around with the rhythm. See if you can stir up that creativity in you. I'm just playing an E. Playing with the rhythm, okay? Maybe some octaves. I would encourage you just to start with the rhythm. Just find something that you like. Something that goes along with maybe what the drums are doing. That's what I always key into. Maybe some different octaves. Maybe I can slide into it. All right, take that track off for a second. Just pause it. Start small. If you start with everything, oh my goodness, I've got all these scales and stuff like that, you'll never get anything done. You'll be back to being overwhelmed again. take 1 or 2 notes. Now I'm going to add another note to it. I'm going to add a D to the E. Okay, so I got 2 notes. That's the only thing I can do. But Steve, this is so boring. You're not going to be Steve Vai overnight. It doesn't work that way. You need to play with your Play-Doh and make a bunch of mistakes. And if it doesn't work out, then you try something else. Okay, but you need to go through that process. Let me just be really straight with you. A lot of folks get really hung up on this. They try a couple of things, think they ought to be Stevie Ray Vaughan, and give up, and then for the next 40 years they say, well, I just could never solo. You never put any time in. You never sat in your room with all of these Legos around you and just tried to do something with it over a long period of time. Okay? This is what I'm talking about now. All right, so I'm going to take 2 notes. This is a D and an E. And we're going to turn on that track again, and I'm going to see what I can do with a D and an E. Now, this is not what I can do. I'm just showing you tools, what you could do. And I'll try and put a link to this track after we get done in the YouTube description. So I've got a D and an E. These are the 2 notes. I don't know where all those notes are. Hey, learn where those notes are. I'm putting out a video right now on learning where these fretboard notes are on the fretboard. Okay, pause the track for a second. Now I'm going to add one more color. One more color. We're not quite to a scale yet. We're just giving you 3 colors out of your crayon box. D, an E, and now I can do a G. Those are the only 3 notes you can use. I can use different octaves. Let's see. Those are the only 3 notes I can use. D, E, and G. Steve, how did you come up with those notes? Is it magic? No, we're in E minor, and I'm taking basically the chord tones. An E, a G, we haven't gotten to the B yet, and then I did a D, an E minor 7th, okay? So now we're going to do a D, an E, and a G. All right, hit me with that track. Good. Now I'm going to add another color. I'm forcing you to bowl down your bowling alley, but I'm putting these sides up like they do for the kids, so you don't get overwhelmed with all the different possibilities. Now I've given you 4 notes, so now we've put the bumpers up just a little bit wider. 4 notes out of your 8 that you could use for your scale. You'll notice I haven't done a scale yet. Okay, I haven't done that yet. I'm slowly adding colors to it. Okay, Steve, this takes so long, it's so boring. Do you want to learn how to solo, or you just want to sit and mess around? If you want to learn how to solo, you kind of got to learn some techniques for doing this. D, E, G, and what do you want it to go to? Let's go to an A, just to vary it up, get it out of chord tones. A D, an E, a G, and an A. Those are the 4 tones that I'm doing. Okay, now. went up from the A. I'm experimenting. Do you see? I already know what I'm doing. I want you to see. Now I'm taking that and I'm playing, kind of playing with that A a little bit. I wonder if I could bend on the lower note. What's that sound like? Sounds better on the higher notes. Hey, that sounded good when I went up from the A to a B, so let's add a fifth note. Let's add a B to it. Okay, let me get tuned up here. So now I've got 5 notes. An E, a G, an A, a B, and a D. Suddenly I got all kinds of funky stuff. I know I can slide around on that A. Okay, good. Take the track off for a second. All right. I've got 5 notes. If only there was a scale that was a 5-note scale. What's that called? A pentatonic scale. I've now created a pentatonic scale out of those notes. An E, G, A, B, D, E. Okay, it's a regular G pentatonic scale. Oh, so now I can do all of my pentatonic scale stuff. Okay, so I can noodle around on those colors as well. Now, a couple of you are having questions. Doug, I'm seeing, says, can you do a meaningful solo without a backing track to guide the rhythm? Well, yeah, I mean, it just kind of helps you get in the zone a little bit. I like working with a backing track because it helps you get in the zone. But you can do the same process just without a backing track. Just try and play something. Make your brain tell your fingers where it's supposed to go instead of your fingers and your scales and your pentatonic patterns and all that sort of stuff telling your brain what to do. I'm talking about going the opposite direction. The ear telling the fingers what to do. Okay? That's a much slower, much messier looking process. You're going to make a bunch of mistakes. Okay? Like a little Play-Doh guy. You're going to make a bunch of mistakes. But that's okay. The mistakes are part of it. Now, how do you get better at this Play-Doh approach to it? At this ear to the thing? How do you get better at it? You do it a bunch. You make better choices. Maybe you get a better tool. Maybe I learn how to use that tool. I learn how to use that pentatonic scale. So do you see it? I'm coming at it from a different approach than from saying, play a scale over this. Because when I say play a scale over that, all of you start doing this. And what I'm trying to do is break you out of that. And I've got to forcibly break you out of that by making you go through this messy, meandering 1-note, 2-note, 3-note, 4-note approach to it. Okay? Neil is saying, do you change the key of a solo along with each chord change? If I don't have to change the key, this kind of gets back to the tonality things we were talking about a few weeks ago. No, I don't. I'm not thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to do a different scale for each chord. I'll go nuts. I just don't have enough processing power for that, okay, to be able to handle that. Now, I'm aware, and you should be aware, of what the chords are and what notes are in each chord, okay? Just, oh, there's an A minor, okay, that I know that an A and a C and an E is in that chord. Yeah, oh, it's time for a D minor. Well, I know a D, an F, and an A is in that chord, okay? So you need to know that, but I'm not changing scales unless I go to a different tonality. This whole thing is in E minor. 15 minutes I can play in G major, E minor, and it'll all work, okay? Now it's only when I go out of a tonality that I have to kind of switch to a different scale perhaps there for a second. So the short answer is no, don't get locked into, oh my goodness, I have to play a different scale for each chord. No, you'll go nuts, and your solos aren't going to sound very good. Okay? All right. Some different thoughts on that. Let me talk to you about a couple more ideas. The most important part of your solo is you. Okay? So don't always be trying to copy other people's licks. That's a good thing, to copy other people's licks. Learn from everybody you can learn from. But the most important part of the solo is you. Okay, so if I could get you to, trying to think, I know I'm not explaining this as clearly as I could. It's kind of a difficult concept to explain. You got to play. You have to experiment. You have to sit there and wonder and it's that exact thing that you're not wanting to do, that uncomfortable part of just sitting there and trying to, fumble around on stuff. That's exactly what I'm trying to get you to do. Hey, is this David Winkert asking a question? David, our good friend David Winkert, my old producer. David Winkert is saying, what's a good way to practice breaking out of just the pentatonic scale? All right, here's one way to do that. If you're used to playing a pentatonic scale, let's say this thing is an E minor, and I'm gonna run my E minor pentatonic scale into the ground. And I automatically gravitate toward it because I know my three favorite licks I know will work there. Okay, here's a good way to get yourself out of that. Don't go near that area of the neck. Hey, force yourself to play down here where you don't have your handy-dandy pentatonic scale handy. And it forces you out of that. Here's another game I like to play. I'll be looking at chord changes, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to wind my solo around, and I'm going to play the third of each chord as I'm playing a solo. So I'm going to play a third of each chord, whatever the chord is. If it's a C, I'm going to play an E, and then I'm going to play other notes, and then when it gets to an A minor, I'm going to play a C. It's just a little game that I'm playing with myself. Don't think this could work? Hey, let's put on that, let's go back to the Girl from Ipanema track. Okay?
1, 2.
First chord's an F, so I'm going to play something in A.
4.
Next chord's a G, so I'm going to play a B. Here's a G minor, I'm going to play a B flat. Here's a G flat, stay on that B flat, F goes to an A. Okay, so I'm going to start my solo with each of those notes. Each measure, I'm starting with the third of the chord. Now goes the bridge. Okay, so it's just a game. It's just a game I'm playing with myself to start start each chord by the third. That forces me out of pentatonic land. Forces me out of doing my scale land. It forces me into thinking while I'm doing it. But Steve, I don't know the tones that fast. Write them in. This is go to school for a little bit. Just write them in, okay? And so how do I break out of going to my favorite licks? Just forcing myself into another part of the neck, or forcing myself to start on a different note, something like that. That helps me to break out of pentatonic land. Neil is saying, so I just focus on the chord tones, the 1, 3, 5, 7th. Generally, that's the best place to start. Now, if the chord gives you something specific, like in this chord, one of the chords is a D7 flat 9, then you can add the flat 9 to that. In fact, that's a good note to try and hit, which is an E flat over a D. We'll try and hit that chord in amongst my creativity. So do you see, there's knowledge, there's rules, but there's also a whole lot of space where I can do other stuff. And the key is to not fall into predictable patterns, finger patterns. Just because your fingers know them, you end up with boring solos that way, and you end up playing the same solo for 40 years. So you don't want to do that. Dylan, or D. Ryan is saying, is it a good idea to hang around the 1? Well, the 1 is so stable that it's kind of boring. So I like to hang around the 3rd. The 5th is very stable too. It's less boring than the 1, but I usually like to try and hang around the 3rd or the 7th, and I've talked about that quite a bit. Okay, but it's a good idea to hang around the 1. Practice, start hanging around the 1. Just play the 1 of each chord. You know, if I did that, let's do that Girl from Ipanema track again. I'm going to play the 1, and you'll hear it. It sounds pretty boring. Okay, so I'm just going to play the 1 of each chord.
2.
So the F, I'm going to play an F.
2, 3, 4.
Do you hear that sound? It's just blah. But if I play the 3rd, it's a little bit different sounding. A little more colorful sounding. What if I play the 5th? Okay, it's going to go to the bridge. Now I'm going to play the 5th of each chord. So it sounds okay, but it's not as colorful as the 3rd. Let me play the 7th. So the 7th was colorful. The 3rd, I think, is the most colorful of the choices of the chord tones. Okay, all right. So we have a couple of folks are saying about the video freezing. So just refresh the screen, see if it. CJ Ray is saying that boring 1 note froze everything. Sorry about that. It sure did. Okay. All right, so I want to play another track for you. This is a track in C. Okay. It's C major scale, so it's a different feel, and so I'll talk you through the same concept again. We'll go through it a little bit faster. Okay. Okay, so there's a C. I just did the C. Find the rhythm. Let's add the C and the D. Maybe C, D, and E. Now, the magic is not in the note choices. The magic is in what I'm doing with them. Let me add the 5th, let me add, so that's playing C, D, E, or a G. C, D, E, G. Now the chords are going through all kinds of stuff. Let's add an A to it, so now I have a C pentatonic scale. And if you always go back to this pentatonic scale, do another one. I haven't played a scale yet. I mean a scale up and down. You know, like that. Hey, that was kind of cool. The E sliding the E to the F. I'm just trying it on different things. I'm like a Play-Doh, I'm just experimenting. Okay, cool. There you go. Different thoughts on that. I hope that kind of helps you break out of this playing scales as just patterns idea. I know it sounds good to do your scales and it feels good to play your 3 favorite licks that you know. Force yourself just by sheer force out of that, or you're going to get stuck to where the only thing you hear is those 3 licks that you've played since high school. Okay? You have got to force yourself out of that. Force yourself to roll up the Play-Doh and make something new with it. Okay? That's what. That's a different way to view creativity in that sense. Not just the rules and the regulations and the scales and stuff, but to just be experimenting and to be playing with your instrument. All right, those are some ideas. You guys have some questions? Daniel is saying singing your notes out loud really improves your soloing. Yes, 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 Daniel. That it does, because it'll help you even if you're not sure. Put on the track and just sing. Da di da 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 da. Just to, and then try and figure out what you sang. Okay, Joe Robinson was the one that kind of turned me on to this. That's a great technique to, because your fingers will tell you what to play, but if you sing it, then your ear is guiding it, and so that's a great technique to sing your notes out loud. All right, now the track that I just played you, some of you guys were asking about the track. That is also from that same project, Smooth Jazz 9. And from the Coffee Break Grooves album. And that's just 2 of the 10 tracks on that project. And they're all just great tracks. He puts out great stuff. Okay? All right. So Goldbug was asking about that track. CJ is saying, time for a giveaway. I agree. It is time for a giveaway. And we're going to do another song, too. Okay? So I want to give away. We gave this away a couple of weeks ago, but nobody, they didn't claim it. So we're going to give it away again. This is Analysis Plus jack. This is their top of the line jack for your electric guitars. This is a jack for that. Great. It's for a regular jack. Mine, it'll work in this guitar, but on my main one, which has a different power setup, it wouldn't work for that. But this is a great thing. I'm not sure how much this is, but it's probably $50 or so. It's their top of the line jack. So someone is about to win this. The winner of this is Stevens Brown. Stevens Brown, you have just won this. Send me your information at service@guitargathering.com. Stevens Brown has won this. It's a great thing you can install in your on your electric guitar. What you won, your screen name, and send it to address, and then send it to service@guitargathering.com. Okay, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to grab my acoustic, so we need to open up that acoustic channel. And Steve Romeo is saying, is the June Gathering still on? The June Gathering is still on. As of today, it is still on. I'm not going to evaluate it again until we get to the end of the month. But and then we'll see kind of where this thing is at. But as of right now, it is very much still on. So there you go. And then Neil is putting information for the fall fingerstyle retreat, if you're interested in that. Okay, I wanted to play another thing. We had someone was telling me about how they were working on a bossa nova called Black Orpheus, and so I'm going to do a Black Orpheus, and the track for this one is from a new friend over at he's from French. Guitar Improvisation. I'll try and put the link into into the description later on. A great bossa track. So this is there's other Black Orpheus tracks. I liked this one just because it was so kind of relaxed and guitar oriented. So I loved that. So I'm gonna get a really rounded pick, and we'll see how that sounds and see if I like that. Okay, so we're going to do that Black Orpheus track, okay? And we've got, hopefully you can hear my guitar, right? There you go. All right, there you go. A little bit of a Black Orpheus there to close us out there. Any last-minute questions there? We've done a lot of kind of Latin stuff tonight. Stephen Smith is saying, can you suggest acoustic tracks? Source. Well, the track business has gotten so great. I mean, it's just gotten great. You could go onto YouTube and find a track to just about anything that you want to do. Good quality tracks. So there's lots of things there. The tracks used to be kind of cheesy and MIDI and stuff like that. There's so many people putting out good stuff now. As far as like a good acoustic tracks, I like the Coffee Break Grooves tracks. We've mentioned those before. I'm getting to know this guitar improvisation tracks. I like those. That's the track we just heard there. They came from here. I do a lot with the Hal Leonard tracks that we just talked about with the jazz book, with the real book as well. So, and don't let a track stop you from learning, though. Just do the chords into your phone and play it back, just for your own reference. CJ is saying, Steve, sum it up. Other than the root, the third, the fifth, and seventh are good escapes. The third, the fifth, and seventh are good escapes from pentatonic runs. Yes. If you don't want to do pentatonic runs, just decide. For me, this is how I do it. I just decide I'm not going to do them. I will not do them. So I have to start myself in another, if I get bored with doing third and fifth, I'll start on the ninth of each chord. I'll just play little games with myself. I'll see how little I can move. That's another little game. Like I'll play a track, and then I'll just see, how if I can only move from one half step either way, I'll just see if I can fit those within the chords and make something happen. Okay? I realize these are very, very simple concepts, but once you kind of grab hold of them, then you can kind of start adding the tools, the arpeggios, the scales, to start and create something. But if all you do is see scales and arpeggios and rules, and you get lost and you'll never create anything. So sometimes it's good to turn off the lights, turn off everything, turn on a track, turn all the lights off to where you can't even see your guitar. Put your finger down somewhere and try and make some music. That's the little games I play with myself to try and force myself into new creative ground. Okay? Just some ideas there to get you going. I want to give away a couple more things. We're going to give away a Van Larkins CD. Our good friend Van Larkins from Australia, who's going to be with us for our June conference. Van's with us. The winner of this one is Brad Baugh. Okay, Brad, our good friend Brad in Spokane. Hey, Brad, send me your information and mailing address, and I will get you out Van's CD. Hey, let's give away one more. We're going to give away a Shane Hennessy CD. Shane was one of the ones I was going to have this past month, but he couldn't come because of everything's going on. So we're going to pick another one. Let's do Ehrman 2004. ERHMAN 2004. You have just won a Shane Hennessy CD. Great CD. Send me your information at service@guitargathering.com, and we will get those out to you from there. Hey, if you're interested in any of the tracks, I'll try and put the links in when we usually in about 24 hours we have all the YouTube is done processing the video, and I'll put the links in the video for the tracks. Did anybody have any last minute questions on that? Also want to let you know, hey, tomorrow night we're going to be doing a workout. We did our triads workout last week, didn't quite get all the way through, so we're going to finish it up this week. And man, you guys have been loving the triads workout. It's not going to be a lesson like this. It's strictly just grab the PDF, grab your guitar, hang on, and let's go through it together and learn. It worked out great, better than I was expecting last week, and we're going to do it again tomorrow night. So grab the Triad PDF, which is on our guitargathering.com in the downloads section, and for the Triads, full Triads PDF. Be ready to go, and then at 7 o'clock Central tomorrow, we will do the Triads workout 2, the second workout, and finish it up. So thank you guys for a great night. I want to thank my lovely wife, who is producer. She's running chat. She's doing everything, as well as being my advisor for all of this. So the time of the workout, Steve Romeo is asking, is going to be at 7 o'clock, same time as this, 7 o'clock Central, and we'll do that. All right. Hey, we will see you guys next time. Keep up the great work. I'll put the links to the tracks in the YouTube description. We'll see you guys next time.